don't know, it's not doing anything. Go ahead.
Right. I'm going to call the January 20th meeting of the County Board of Commissioners to order. Can everybody stand for the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we have public comment period. Is there anyone here that would like to speak with the board? Now's the time. No? Okay. Consent agenda. Oh, no, we gotta, first we have to.
We do have to
approve
approve the
meeting
the agenda
I'm
first.
sorry. Can I get a motion?
Madam Chair, I so move that we approve the agenda.
Moved by Cheryl Van Ort, Commissioner Van Ort. Do I hear a second?
I'll second, Madam
Second
Chair.
by Commissioner Schmidt. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The consent agenda.
Yes, today we have approval of the January 6th board meeting minutes, approval of Health and Human Services Hospital, County and Hospital accounts payable, approval of resolution establishing minimum salaries for elected officials, approval of the 2024 Emergency Management Grant Contract Agreement, approval of the annual tobacco license renewals, and that's the consent agenda.
Okay. Mr.
Madam
Commissioner Schmidt?
Chair, if I could ask a question. Emergency management grant, that hasn't changed much over years.
Correct.
Any increases or decreases or anything?
Not that we're aware of. So
Is the 2024 date on here?
That's correct.
That's what it is?
That's what it is.
Approving a 2024 emergency management performance grant?
Yes, that's what's in the grant contract.
Okay.
Are you asking if they're behind?
No, I
I had a similar question when I looked at it.
just curious. All right, I was just wondering if the dollars changed much over the years.
they haven't, and they,
We always like it to increase, but
well, it's, I think it's 16.9 is what it's at. It's a matching grant. I think that, yeah.
appreciate it, Bill.
Any other questions about the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, move to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Darren. All in favor?
Aye.
What's that?
There's a resolution.
Never mind, he caught me, and I knew that this morning. I thought, I gotta remember, there's a resolution. Can we have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Stomke,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Ort,
Yes.
Commissioner Oberg.
Yes. All right, moving along. We will, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Realty Specialists concerning a conveyance of easement.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just, I'm just gonna remind everyone, I had a complaint last week that people aren't hearing the volume well, so make sure you're speaking to it. All right,
Sit closer.
welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. Blair Mace with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Realty Specialist out of Fergus Falls. With me, I have Todd Hoenstra. He's the manager here at Litchfield Management District. And we also have Aaron Seifert. He's a landowner back there, in case you have any landowner questions about our easements. Did everybody receive the letter and information that I sent about December 23rd-ish? Okay. We present every acquisition that we make to the County Board of Commissioners for certification and then to the Land Exchange Board for approval. Final approval for every acquisition comes from the Land Exchange Board, which is down in St. Paul. It's the governor, the state auditor, and the attorney general. They meet quarterly. This easement will be presented to the Land Exchange Board in March. Due to a 1962 agreement with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the Minnesota DNR, this is why we're presenting all our easements and acquisitions to the commissioners. This acquisition is funded through the Migratory Bird Conservation Act. the Duck Stamped Act and not through tax dollars. So every duck stamp that's purchased, 99 cents out of a dollar, comes to us to purchase land, easements, fee title. So every time you buy a duck stamp, that's what we use. We have one wetland easement today for your certification. It's owned by Brian Seifert and Aaron Seifert and some of their other families. Wetland easement has 9 wetland basins outlined up there in blue on the map. The basins under our easement cannot be burned, drained, leveled, or filled. The easements in section 36 of Litchfield Township. It is perpetual. The landowners remain the owners, so they will still pay taxes and allow access. All we're doing is paying so they don't drain the wetlands. We control and access are still part of the landowner's rights. Is there any questions?
Anyone? Steve?
So this is a wetland easement, so in other words, you folks have access to that land
Yes.
needed to inspect or maintain, whatever, needs to be accomplished there. Is there, because probably where the county, where I foresee a county, topic would be, 100 years from now, somebody else is the landowner. Is that easement is between the landowner and you folks?
Yes.
So the county has no say or jurisdiction. We're simply certifying that this action is taking place.
Yes.
So we're a check in the box on your checklist to go to St. Paul. In essence, because
Yes.
we don't have any say whether you do it or don't do it, or what the landowner has. We're just certifying that this is happening, and so the state knows that the county is. And so any reversal, 100 years from now, out of this is gonna be between whoever the landowner is and whoever the agency is. And, all right.
So if someone sells the land, that easement goes along with the
It's
sale.
in perpetuity.
Stays with the title for.
So I think we ask this every time. Like, not why are you here, but, because really we don't, it's like Steve said, we don't have any
Kind
say.
of a check.
Yeah. So when you say that they pay the property tax, does the amount of money that does the quality of the land change, or does the tax amount they pay change?
Shouldn't. That's up to the assessor.
So it's
and
assessed the same way as it
landowner.
always
Yeah, it
was?
should be still assessed the same.
Okay, good. Any other questions?
This has no bearing on anything, but we used to have a gentleman that came here by the name of Scott. Are one of you two his replacement? You are, okay.
Yep.
Has no bearing on it, I just wanted to know.
Well, because we picked on him, really. Kind of, but not really.
You gotta know who to target.
Todd was probably warned.
We've gotten better, kind of,
It
so.
was part of the interview process.
Madam Chair.
Yes. Go ahead, Cheryl.
So just curiosity, how do you access those various 9 locations? How do you,
So the legal description that we put, is the yellow outline up there.
yes.
We'll put that in our easement as the legal description. And we have, part of our easement agreement is that we have access through,
Any area within that yellow outline? Gotcha.
sometimes, this one was a weird shape, all the wetlands are all over the place, but sometimes, by policy, we have to use the smallest adequate part
Okay,
that contains all the wetlands. This one was weird, so we had to use the whole legal description,
gotcha.
so.
That was my thinking. It's
Yep.
like, it's gonna be tricky.
Anybody else?
Just a follow-up, so basically, the easement is not necessarily for access, it's mainly for, you guys to inspect, maintain, ensure that the wetlands are still functioning as they are today. You're basically drawing them perimeters around there, and that's what we're gonna monitor over the perpetual however far this easement
Yes.
goes out. And so it's not necessarily to access the property or anything. When we think easements, a lot of times it's to drive across or to
Right.
get to or something, but that, in this case, that is not
Well, we do,
necessarily the primary function.
yeah, the primary functions for the wetlands. We
Yeah.
do have that secondary access that
Sure.
we can access the wetlands through
Yeah,
the rest of the land, so.
all right.
Okay, anybody else? If not, I'd look for a motion to certify.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we certify this.
Motion by
Yes.
Commissioner Van Ort,
I will second that.
second by Commissioner Johnson. Any more questions or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good day.
Thank you, commissioners.
Tim, Veteran Service Officer is up next.
Already got
Morning, Tim.
It's in debate now.
All right. Hopefully these are the right slides. I'm just kidding. We got the right slides. Always a pleasure to come in front of the board on this nice, fine, cold Minnesota winter day. So, next slide, please. So, as I said, a pleasure to come in front of you, and we'll talk about what the Veteran Service Office has been doing for the last year. And we'll go through, I think, about a dozen slides here, so next slide. So our mission is to advise, counsel, assist veterans and their families in obtaining earned veterans benefits through federal and state programs, and to act as an advocate on their behalf or direct them to other authorized agencies or providers. This means in our office, we provide direct hands-on assistance. On a daily basis, we help veterans and their families navigate the VA system by filing and developing claims, explaining benefits, and coordinating with the VA and other partners. Now, the VA has 3 administrations that I'm sure you're well aware of. The Veterans Benefit Administration is what we mostly work within. That's where disability compensation comes from. And the Veterans Health Administration, I'm sure you're all familiar with the St. Cloud VA. That's part of that. And we'll talk more in depth about the new satellite community outpatient patient clinic coming to Litchfield here. And also the third is the National Cemetery Administration. So as I mentioned, we mostly work within the Veterans Benefit Administration, assisting veterans with applying for disability compensation. The most common claim we file is hearing loss and tinnitus. And that hearing loss, say for example, there was an infantryman or someone in the artillery, some other exposure, is the most common thing we do. And once we work them through the process and say they get a 10% disability rating, that's their pathway into the VA healthcare system for many of them or most of them. And at that point, it becomes free to them. It's just another option for them. It's not healthcare insurance, it's a healthcare system, but it's a fantastic system. It's got a great reputation. As far as the National Cemetery Association goes, I'm sure you're all familiar with Fort Snelling and some of maybe the state military cemeteries. Probably Little Falls is the one you're the most commonly known around here. We assist veterans with pre-registration for both of those cemeteries, or there's other state military cemeteries as well. And then also burial applications with surviving family members. So now as far as directing them to other resources, when veterans come in, it is this time of year, it's fairly common to have a homeless veteran come in. When it starts to get cold like this, maybe they've been living in their vehicle. Typically, we connect them on a short-term basis with UCAP right in town here. We have a partnership with them. They do a fantastic job putting them up for a short period of time. That's our short-term solution. And then kind of midterm is working with the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs for maybe some other benefits to kind of take that next step. And then long-term, Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs, for example, has a SOAR program that they assist veterans if they're eligible for applying for Social Security disability. So that's just in a nutshell what we do. So next slide. Accreditations and certifications. Both Tanner, the Assistant Veteran Service Officer, and myself are both fully accredited. Tanner started a course in February of last year. He completed trip training, which gave him access to the Veterans Benefit Administration, where all the information for disability compensation and some other areas, but mostly disability compensation, is kept by the VA. So that's a really important thing. So if I'm not there, Tanner can actually fill in and has access to everything that I have access to. So as I mentioned, we're both trained and fully accredited with the VA, and we maintain our accreditation through continual testing every Thursday and also training. Every Thursday we do a training with the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs, and then there's spring and fall training and some other training opportunities as well. Next slide. I know this is the part you've been waiting for, veteran statistics here. As you can see up there, we got 2023 through 25. We consistently stay on that 15 to 16 veteran contacts per day. That's appointments, walk-ins, phone calls, emails, and any type of veteran contact. So our typical goal is to, if a veteran calls and leaves a message or emails, to get back within 1 business day. So since there are 2 of us, we're very consistent on that, and typically we are getting back to them the same day. Next slide. More numbers. This is the geographic distribution of expenditures. This is an annual report the VA puts together, and it's an estimate on spending in various VA programs. And if you look across the top there, it shows our veteran population been dropping about 3% per year. It was 1,456 in 2023 to 1,383 in the fiscal year 2025. So as far as total expenditures go, that's everything from compensation, like I was talking about, where there's some service-connected issue that the veteran is receiving compensation for, or pension, as you can see on that next area, compensation and pension. That actually is something, it's not retirement. That's a survivor's pension or a non-service connected pension. That's another way that a veteran can be connected and receive compensation from the VA. So backing up for a minute, total expenditures, 25, roughly 0.8 million, and that's everything from healthcare and the compensation and pension. The compensation and pension numbers are real numbers. That's roughly 9.4 million coming into Meeker County. Medical care, you can see, went up pretty significantly to almost 15.3 million. And that's the majority of that is through the St. Cloud VA. And of course, when the satellite clinic comes here, some of those individuals will start, going to the VA here as well too. DIC, Dependency Indemnity Compensation, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but just a quick explanation. That's for eligible surviving members of a veteran's family, typically a spouse. And it's most commonly when the veteran dies of a service-connected condition, they can then apply for that. Then there's also a survivor's pension as well. Memorial benefits, I'm sure you've all been in the cemeteries and seen the bronze plate, 12 inches high, 24 inches wide. There's an example of that up there on the screen. That's a majority of the 60,924. Veteran readiness and employment, that's typically a veteran that is going back to school, can't work because of some service-connected issue, and the VA is assisting them in going back and then getting an education so they can be employed in the future. So, and then on the bottom, you can see that there's a jump up from the number of veterans using the VA. It's 960. So that's good. That's a really good thing that they're using the VA. It's just a really another good option for them. Next slide.
Tim?
Yes.
The veterans using the VA, is that 960, where does that number generate? I mean, how is that tracked?
So
I'm a member, I'm active in the VA system.
So say you
Am I tied to Meeker, or, I mean?
Yes. So it's veterans that are tied within that are residing within Meeker County going to
Okay.
the St. Cloud VA.
It's residents.
That could be you go multiple times. That's, of that 960, that's not each visit. That's just an individual veteran that could have gone a dozen times, right?
Sure, sure.
But yeah.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know if it went by residency or where they signed up or,
Gotcha.
you know, what I mean, how that number was tracked or created. Thank you.
So, just some interesting statistics, from the St. Cloud VA, and by the way, we mirror this here. 8% of the veterans are female, we're approximately there. Very commonly, a majority of the veterans we see, you can see reflected in the number, 64% of the patients are Vietnam era. That's our largest, number of veterans that come into the office are from that era. And you can see the 30% Desert Storm, and of course, Korea and World War II are minimal. And then, overall from the St. Cloud VA, over 20,000 veterans, served over the age of 65. Next slide. Transportation, of course, we were talking about the VA healthcare system. Majority of the time, we're transporting veterans to the St. Cloud VA, but we do take them to VA referred doctor's appointments. It could be St. Cloud, could be Wilmer, could be other locations, but they all are VA or VA referred appointments you'll see reflected here. So we have two vans donated by the Meeker County Veterans Council, a 2022 and a 2023 Chrysler Pacifica that they paid for to be wrapped as well. I'm sure you've seen those around town. We've had 6 to 8 volunteers last year. We got a really dedicated group of volunteers. And by the way, we are rare among counties for a transportation program that still have volunteers. Most of the other counties have gone to a paid part-time county employees. So, but those those drivers are not all necessarily veterans. Actually get more time with the veterans that we do. If you could imagine picking someone up in Meeker County at their house, taking them to their VA doctor's appointment, maybe multiple veterans take them back. They get an hour of FaceTime with them or windshield time each way. They actually see them more than we do. So it is very common that they will come in, either the veteran or the driver will come in and say, hey, you know, the veteran will come in and say, hey, I was talking to the driver, he said I should come and see you. So it's a really good way to maintain contact with veterans in Meeker County, let alone, you know, provide that service to them. Miles driven, you can see up there in 2025, 30,860 and 321 veterans transported, so. Next slide. It's a new slide from last year. As I mentioned before, veterans come into our office and they're looking, maybe they got some issues, and we're looking to help them, point them in the right direction, get them some assistance. Our main go-to is through the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs, their State Soldiers Assistance Program. And common scenario, someone comes in, say they're behind on their rent. Could be a year. They have a Veterans Relief Grant through the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs. Will pay up to $10,000. And the goal is so that veteran does not become homeless. Typically, the veterans, when they come in, they either got an eviction notice or they've got utility disconnect notice, and that's one of our main go-tos as far as assistance for the veterans. Not necessarily short-term, kind of mid-term, as I was talking about before. Now, another partner is the Minnesota Assistance Council for Veterans, MACV. That's an estimate of $5,000. They will also work with veterans. We use both of those programs depending on the need. MACV's main mission is to reduce or eliminate homelessness in veterans. So they do a great job. We work with the Mankato office. They have different sections of the state, and I know they have different housing facilities for veterans as well, too. Meeker County Veterans Council, that's another option once we've used other sources like the SSAP or MACV. We go to them as well, too, and they've assisted veterans. A majority of what you're seeing up there was actually a remaining bill from a surviving spouse from the veteran, after the veteran had passed from a service-connected issue, that was not covered. So the Meeker County Veterans Council paid it directly to the to the company, or to the medical facility that the money was owed to. And by the way, all these funds that we're talking about here are not paid to the veteran, they're paid to whoever they owe the money to. Could be rent, could be a mortgage company, those types of things. Money does not go directly to the veteran, it goes to who they owe money to or what they're behind on, so. Next slide, community outreach. This one keeps on getting longer every year, which is a good thing. So, of course, we go to the American Legion and VFW meetings every year. We try to get there at least once a year. Tanner has been coming with me, the Assistant Veteran Service Officer, and I've been introducing him. We also have a booth at the Meeker County Fair, and by the way, last year, I had to come back twice to get more freebies for veterans, because the first day of the fair on Thursday, I don't know, I think the weather was good, I gave away more information or distributed more information and gave away free items than by 1 p.m. on the first day of the fair, and I did the entire fair last year, so it was really good.
That's good.
Well, that might be Veterans Day at the fair, too.
It is,
It is, Thursday, yeah.
but
I think everybody, though, the hospital had outstanding.
And it was beautiful
Visits.
weather,
it was very good weather.
very beautiful.
And the pole barns weren't over 100 degrees like that.
So it was nothing you did,
Difference.
that's what we're trying to
So
say.
you know,
Tim. It
you
was
don't get a
nothing
reg-
special you did.
Yeah,
Let's be clear, Tim.
But what Tim was successful in doing was getting contacts with potential veterans.
that's right. That's
That's
Utilizing
where the
that,
success is.
utilizing
I'm picking
the
up.
opportunity, yeah.
So we also have a booth at Watergate, and again, very weather dependent. A couple years ago, same thing as I described at the fair, and last year it was really hot and humid and rainy, so. Memorial Day presentation, I did a presentation at the Ripley Cemetery here in town. And we get out and do that wherever we can and wherever they would like us to present. Veterans Day, same thing. Grove City Care, I'm sure you're familiar with them. We go there for a March Senior Health Expo every year. They're part of that. And then we also go, try to go quarterly if we can, one of us, and present to the Grove City Care as I think it's monthly meetings. For Friendship Club, I think is what
Friendship
it's called.
Club,
Friendship
yep.
Club, there you go. Anyway, it's facilitated by the Grove City Care. We go there. There's a number of surviving spouses of veterans there, and then some veterans as well. Senior Health Expo in Grove City as well. Quarterly Veterans Hour, this is something we got going again. It disappeared during COVID. So right next door at Ecumen here, either Tanner or myself will go and we just sit down with the veterans and talk to them, which has worked pretty well. So parades, of course, if you go to Eden Valley Days or, Watercade and Litchfield, Watkins, Cosmos, or Red Rooster Days in Dassel, we have the van in the parade advertising our transportation program, and that's the picture you see there with the flags on the back. That was the receiver hitch, and the flags were all donated by the Meeker County Veterans Council, and we have volunteer drivers driving in those parades. Next slide. So this is the community-based outpatient clinic I was talking about. And we talked about this, I think, last year as well. But at that point, the funding had not been approved, and now the funding has been approved. They're looking at a 20 to 24,000 square foot facility somewhere in the Litchfield area here. And looking at opening the doors sometime between fiscal year 2029 and fiscal year 2030. Primary care, mental health services, potential for some limited mix of specialty services. So anyway, that'll be a nice addition, and that'll also be, we can actually transport more veterans in a given day if we're just, transporting them to the
Local
new
facility.
satellite clinic in town here. So it'll be really nice to have that, nice addition for veterans to access healthcare in town here.
Madam
So,
Chair,
yes, go ahead.
on the clinic there, is there a possibility with the remodel in the hospital and the clinic, is that a discussion even?
We haven't,
Or is,
we have not, we've met once about our contracts and stuff, and we have talked about the hospital may be interested in keeping at least one of them. That hasn't even come before the governing board, so so we really haven't had a lot of discussion about it, I guess. Maybe Center Care owns them, but they're not gonna wanna keep them, so.
It's been shared with the VA, and one of the potential developers at least a couple of times that this project is occurring and there might be some clinic space that's opening up that could be remodeled. I don't know if that meets the size requirements that they're
Yeah.
looking for, but, it has certainly been shared with them.
Excellent, excellent.
I have a question, I don't know if you can answer it.
Great proximity too.
Yeah.
I mean,
When these clinics, which they're a good thing, go into a community, does that add, I mean, do they ever use local docs then, providers, or does it add, or, I guess I'm asking, does it add or take away from a health system you may have, or don't you know?
So, I think it's a win-win in general, and I'll describe why I think that is. Right now, say a veteran's in his nineties, or a veteran, they're in their nineties, and they can't physically make it, it's not very easy for them to go to the St. Cloud VA, right? They will do what's called community care, care in the community, and they see like local doctors at Meeker Memorial here, right? They do that. So as far as, the clinic coming here, they would more than likely see a local doctor here. But, say a patient needs, something like an MRI or some other type of thing, I would anticipate, or other additional services, they would be using Meeker Memorial for that, because they'd be right next to them.
Right,
if they
that
needed
was-
something right away. Right, because they would not, for example, that older veteran, they wouldn't be taking them. That's the reason that the care in the community is there, so that, someone like that, it's not feasible for them to go to the.
So
St.
do
Cloud
they
VA.
do that now? Like if can they go for care at a different place than the VA?
Yes,
There's
so they have to be
occasions where that
referred.
happens.
Yep, they get referred, and it's still the VA paying for it. They refer them to, for a couple different reasons. One is elderly veteran, like I described. The other one is they can't get them in to a reasonable,
In a
say
reasonable
it's
time.
cancer related, and they can't get them to see an oncologist at the St. Cloud VA in a reasonable amount of time, so then they'll send them out in the community.
Good.
I can give you, I might have to do supposed to do a stress test. I
Sure.
have no idea why I have stress.
I don't either. I had one, I hardly passed, but
But the VA, that gets farmed out, and I get to pick, and I sit at Litchfield, so
yeah, I had one there.
they
Good.
contract for lack
It'll
of
be
a
good to
better
have a
word.
good partner for sure. I'm glad this is happening because of the age. I mean, when you look at the statistics, right, where the World War II people are, and the Vietnam people are and we're getting old. It's just getting older, you know.
Beth, seasoned.
Seasoned, we're getting seasoned, very seasoned, so, yeah.
Madam Chair? I
Yes.
just- So, your slide notes that the funding has been approved. Was that a grant that you applied for?
No, this is the VA doing it themselves. They statistically looked at areas where there's concentrations of veterans and how far they are from a VA facility, and they identified this area as in need of a VA clinic because of that.
Okay.
And they have
And
them
then-
in other, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And then just one more question. Overall, all of your funding, well, I noticed you did note some smaller sources, but your funding is generally from the federal government.
As far as,
Is how all of your services and the VA is funded by the federal government?
correct.
Yes, okay.
Correct, yep.
Just wanted to be clear on that. Yeah. It's not a state or a local.
And to put a finer point on that, locally, we get a small grant from the state to help the operation of the Vet Service Office. The rest is funded by local levy.
Okay.
The services that veterans receive then are either then from the state or federal government. The CBOC clinic is not something the county is directly involved in. It's something we're monitoring because we know it impacts our veterans in the community and also potentially our county-owned hospital.
Good. I think that people will wonder if their tax dollars will be affected by this, and we just want to be clear that, no, that is not the case.
Not locally.
Not locally, yes.
Oh. How many of these clinics do they have, do you know?
I do not know. I know that, for example, out of St. Cloud, they have this is, in effect, is a satellite clinic to
Yep.
St. Cloud. Right? That's the main
Yep.
VA clinic, or main medical center. So they have one in Brainerd, for example. They have, I'm not sure if Princeton, the brand new one just like this, is it tied to them or not. But I know Montevideo those are the two that I'm aware of. There might be more.
They have a veterans home in Montevideo too.
They do as well. Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs, Veterans Home, yes.
And I had heard, this is off subject, but I'm curious, that they weren't taking people because they couldn't find staffing. Is that still an issue?
That is correct. I think it's in the low 70s, the total number of veterans and or spouses, because they do take up to, I think, 10% spouses too. The
Right.
spouse has to pay.
Right,
Let me back up for a minute. If the veterans at least a 70% combined disability rating, the state veterans homes are free to them, as well as VA approved skilled nursing homes, like Meeker Manor was just approved in town here. And then the other one in the local area would be Harmony River in Hutchinson.
okay, yeah.
So there's two options for veterans, but and there's also a nursing home, I think they call it the CLC in St.
St.
Cloud,
Cloud, yeah.
as well as part of the VA Medical Center there.
But they have the same issues, I think, with staffing as everyone's having, so.
Yeah, they do. I can't, I don't know the exact number they're up to. They're not at full capacity yet. And then typically if a veteran wants to use one of those facilities, they would come to us and we would help them with pre-registration if they want to do it ahead of time. Or a lot of them will go and tour it as well. As a matter of fact, at the fair, we had someone from the American Legion there that same day that it got really busy, and we were all busy until 1 o'clock that day. It was crazy and unbelievably. It was a good thing seeing all the veterans and their families. But we also had someone from the Montevideo Veterans Home there, and all three of us were busy. She brought all kinds of information, and she's come multiple times. She's even doing a presentation at the Litchfield American Legion here.
Good.
So, yeah.
Madam Chair, can I
Yes,
ask?
go ahead.
Just I want to kind of go back to Cheryl's issue when it comes to the money and where things come from or how they're funded. And so if all of your volunteers who are doing the driving, if they were to drop off and you'd have to hire people, would that be on the county or would that be,
That would be the county.
okay,
It's, fortunately, we're sitting pretty good now. And our main source of referrals for the volunteer drivers. It's coming from other drivers.
nice.
Those drivers form some pretty close relationships with those veterans with all that windshield time. They really do. And I don't know how to say this, some of them get addicted to it. And it's a good thing because, it's good for the driver, it's good for the veteran, they got someone to talk to, and it ties them to our office as well, like I was describing before, so. But right now, we're doing pretty good. Our average driver is in those early 70s right now. And they do have to, just so you know, they do have to go through a background check. We use the St. Cloud VA for that, a background check and a physical every year at no cost to the county. And assuming they pass that, then they continue to drive.
So just please express our appreciation.
Absolutely.
For all of those. We're always looking for where we can trim, and just the fact that they're volunteering their time and it's greatly appreciated.
Just to give you a brief story. Not that it happens all the time. We ask for about a week's notice because we got volunteer drivers, right? And when a veteran calls and he's scheduling, a pickup and a ride to the St. Cloud VA, for example, and back, sometimes the VA will cancel it and then they call to reschedule, but it's the next day. Some of those drivers have even done that same day. We will call them, hey, can you pick someone up in an hour? Sure, no problem.
Yeah.
That's how dedicated some of these drivers are. They will drop what they're doing to go take care of that veteran, get them to their appointment and get them back. So,
It's pretty cool.
yeah.
That's good news.
That's
is.
very good news.
It is.
As a matter of fact, we have a luncheon the Meeker County Veterans Council is paying for today at the American Legion at 11:30. If you'd like to stop by and say hello to some of the volunteer drivers, most of them will be there along with their
11:30 today?
11:30 today at the American Legion.
Do we ever use CCT? We had a van that was given to us by Prime West Handicap Van. Do we ever use them when we're in a pinch to do anything?
So, CCT will transport veterans in general if they're at least 10% disability rating, which you'll see that says service connected on their VA health card, but not to doctor's appointments.
Okay.
But they do transport them. They also have, and then, of course, they don't drive to the St. Cloud VA. They also have I can't remember what the program is called.
Well, they have a
They have senior
volunteer,
volunteer
yeah.
drivers,
They have
okay.
volunteer driver program.
They pay so much per mile, the veteran will pay them, that's another option. Now, we don't do wheelchair transport, they have to be able to get themselves in and out of the
Okay.
van. But we do work quite a bit with Hutchinson DAV, they're a good partner. They will pick up,
Yep.
they have volunteer drivers as well, and they have handicap vans, so, but all of those are options.
Good.
How many handicap driver, I'm sorry, how many volunteer drivers do you have?
Right now, we have 6. It can vary, you know, and then it is really nice to have that have 8 as a target number because, you know, they have other things they like to do besides just drive. And it allows, if we keep them all engaged, rather than relying on a smaller number, and then if that person leaves or moves out of the area, which happened, 2 of our drivers moved, husband and wife. I told them that, you know, when they sold their house, they needed to, you know, make a stipulation that whoever bought their house had to volunteer first, but that didn't work out, so.
That's a tough negotiation right there.
That's right. Very dedicated. So, any other questions?
Anybody else?
I'll just go through trends very briefly. We touched on some of these. We are still continuing to see a number of phone appointments, 30+ this last year. It's a really nice option. Veterans are aware of, and the more we do it, the more they become aware. Maybe they're sick. Most of them are snowbirds. For example, they're in Arizona, Florida, some other place. For whatever reason, they can't get in the office. We can do it over the phone and send for electronic signatures with our software. So also the PACT Act, which was signed into law in 2022, we continue to see about 30% of our claims, roughly a third of the claims for that. And if you're not familiar with the PACT Act, it was something that was signed into law, has to do with toxic exposure, for example, in Southwest Asia, Iraq, Afghanistan, and some of the presumptive conditions that have come from that, as well as exposure to Agent Orange and some other toxins as well too. Something that was not on here last year is increased number of veteran benefit reviews. When we go out to the American Legion, VFW, we're at the fair, wherever we are, we always encourage veterans to come in at least every couple of years to just go through things, make sure they're taking advantage of everything that's out there that the VA has to offer. Tanner, since he started, has been going down the list. We have, 4,000 plus veterans on in our veteran-specific software. That does not reflect the number of veterans in the county, by the way. They might have moved, they might have passed away, we don't always hear that. So he's going through them, and he's inviting them in for a benefit review. And to give you a good example of a benefit review that occurred last year, a veteran was at 10%. 10% for tinnitus, so 10% disability rating, which is about $180 a month, and 0% for hearing loss, so service-connected but did not meet the criteria for hearing loss. He hadn't been in for, 5 or more years. He went and had another hearing exam, and he went from 10% to 80%, so he went from $180 to over $2,000 a month. So that can make a huge difference, and in the veterans' lives. You know, some of those veterans, they kind of make it some month and they don't. Just a huge difference when they come in. So that's just a good example of why you come in to do a benefit review. Next slide. So I think I told all my stories so far. No, I got a couple. So we see a lot of veterans in our office or their surviving family members, and sometimes veterans come in with some pretty dire situations like I described, and we try to connect them with those resources, whether that's homelessness or whatever it might be, to try to get them to a place that they're self-sufficient, right? And get them connected with services that might be able to help them. So already talked about the disability compensation story with the veteran going from 10% to 80%. DIC is dependency indemnity compensation there. That's a monthly financial benefit paid to eligible surviving spouses, could be children as well, if the veteran died from a service-connected condition. And in many cases, say the veteran passes, right? And that disability compensation stops when the veteran passes. And if that's part of their financial plan, and all of a sudden the spouse might need to go back to work, if it's a service-connected death, then we can apply for dependency indemnity compensation, which is currently about $1,700 a month. That can make the difference between a surviving spouse going back to work or not. And then in addition to that, CHAMP VA, the next thing listed there, we can apply for that once they've been awarded dependency indemnity compensation. So it becomes a really big deal. We try to do those as fast as we can to assist that surviving spouse. And just as an example, enrollment in the VA healthcare system. So it's really common in our office to have veterans that have, are using the St. Cloud VA healthcare system. Maybe they're at 20–30%. So there's the VA healthcare system. It's not insurance. Then say they're on Medicare and say they have a supplemental. That's a really good place to be. I was talking to a veteran in November of last year, and he told me the reason he was able to retire was that he got 10% disability rating, got enrolled in the VA healthcare system. Because the VA will take care of you head to toe with a 10% disability rating, or they will take care of you with 0 as well, but there's some co-pays associated with that, very reasonable. But that was the difference in this particular local veteran here, being able to retire or not. And it's a really good healthcare system, and it's a good place, and we're having to have the community-based outpatient clinic coming here is going to be a really good for the veterans in the area. Subject to your questions, that completes my presentation.
Anybody?
Well, and I think the CBOT will be the big thing too, is there's a lot of other veterans in the area outside of Meeker County, but in this region that will not have to travel all the way to St. Cloud. So they'll be able to do some of their services here. So we'll draw in some folks from outside our county here, or our area, to this clinic here to do some of them smaller items. So I think it is a really good fit for the community, and I think it'll help benefit the hospital as well. So
That's a really good point. I wasn't thinking about it like that, but for example, like Hutchinson,
yeah, we're not the only ones that go to St. Cloud. There's a
right,
big group out here to our southwest.
Renville County.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, you will see their vans driving right through here.
Yeah.
To go to the St. Cloud VA. So that is a really good point. I never thought about it like that, but very good point.
Anything else? Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Andrew Letson, County
And
Administrator.
I was just kidding. You do a good job at the fair. Other than that.
Had nothing to do with you. He let you know that.
You gotta keep him humble.
Good day.
That's the other part
Andrew,
about being a veteran.
under a
You gotta
time
pick on one
constraint, but I
another a
already
little bit.
lost. But it wasn't my fault.
Very briefly,
It's fine.
just a couple of quick things for you. Next week, we do have a work session scheduled. We have 2 items for that. Prime West is going to come and do an update and some information for the board. And then also, we're going to have an update on the process for our Family Resource Center and where we're at with it.
And I will not be here, so Cheryl, you will be. There you go.
And the date on that,
January 27th.
January 22nd,
7th,
7th.
next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
It's our work session.
So
And then February 3rd is shaping up to be a very busy day for all of us. We, of course, have a regular meeting. We talked, or we coordinated amongst all of us and found a date to have our special work session with legislators, which would be that morning immediately following our regular meeting. And it's also the day of our township meeting. So that's going to be in the afternoon that day. So
Have we heard back from the legislators?
I had, as of Friday, we had heard back from Senator Gruenhagen that he was available. We had not heard back from the others at that point. We may have over the weekend.
Okay.
I'm not aware that we are, though, so. That concludes,
When was the township meeting?
I think it's 1 PM on February 3rd.
You'll be here all day.
That day, that meeting we're gonna do in the community rooms, like we have in the past prior to last year, but just how full it was last year. It was clearly uncomfortable for some of the folks who were here. The community room is just a nice, bigger space, and so we'll do it over there for that afternoon. So, that concludes my
it?
report.
Paul, would you like to start?
Sure, I only have a couple. We had Prime West, and as we do every year at Prime West in the first meeting, we go over the basics. We went over our bylaws, we went over the governing structure, governance responsibilities, just to remind everybody their duty to care and their so forth. So we like to go through those. The change, seeing now that we are single plan, the total enrollment is up by 25,838 January. So that's a significant, shall we say, burst to enrollment. It's also, it changes our risk-based, come on, help me out, what's that last word? Capital.
Capital. That's what I was gonna say.
Which means we have to have enough money to cover everything. We were running at 800, the recommended is around 4. So this surge temporarily has brought us down closer to the 600. But
Percent.
that's going to continue to go back up. Did you?
Percent? 600.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. We approved 17,000 providers for 2026. And Jim brought forth several contracts. The ones that always get me though, is the number of IT contracts. I mean, we're so driven. We see it in the sheriff's office. We see it here at the county. There are so many IT contracts, and we spent a lot of money that day. It's very hard for me because usually when I'm at the Prime West meeting, I'm with Beth, so I don't get to vote. So I forget to vote when they do call for one.
There you go.
I can't
Still
believe
looking
it.
around for me, aren't you?
So, but all in all, it was a good meeting. Jim has got, after January, we'll have just 4 months left to be with us. And he has been such an exceptional leader. I hope that he is here next Tuesday for the work session. I hope he comes in person, just so you can meet him. Very dynamic individual who has lived his life in the healthcare system, and I don't think there's a question you can ask that man that he can't answer.
Nope.
He's just that good.
He will be missed for sure, but he certainly earned his retirement.
Yeah. Then my other meeting was with Pack for Families, which was a roller coaster. We were notified on Tuesday of last week at 7:20 in the evening that our grant for Journey to Success or Independence and our Road to Success had been terminated. Those were federal grants. Done. That's 1.2 million. So we had a meeting scheduled the following day anyway, but we had to have an emergency executive board meeting to discuss this because it would have involved 11 employees that we would have had to lay off. And how are we going to handle that? Because benefits ended midnight on that Tuesday night. They were on payroll. They hadn't been notified of anything. So we were really in kind of a no man's land is what we would do. So we had the meeting, we made some decisions. And then, 2 days later, I'm ready to share the positive news. We received confirmation that the awards have been reinstated. So we put people through, all this. We're glad to have them back. Don't misunderstand me. We're glad to have those 2 grants back. But we really gave the folks that worked there a roller coaster ride. Not to mention the individuals that we serve because they were gonna have an impact too, so.
It's hard to make cuts in government, no matter how you do it, right?
It is.
So that's not a good way to do it. I hope people are looking at outcomes. I mean, was it taken away because of outcomes, or was it taken away because of politics, or was it included
really-
with another cut? You never know, right? So,
They just sent the termination notice out, really didn't give a reason.
that's
And,
That's
had they-
government
Had they told
bureaucracy at
us
its
a while
worst.
ago, okay, next year you're not going to have this grant,
That's right,
we would have been prepared.
that's right. I
Could
agree.
have taken the action slow and deliberate and made the right decisions that affected people in the right way. But we can't control what we don't have the power to control, so
Right.
our job was just to create a plan if they would have continued to be terminated, so.
Good.
But good to say, they were reinstated.
That is.
That's it.
Thank you, Paul. Steve? I go next? Or if you're not ready, I'll have
No,
Cheryl do it.
basically, the main things that I've been working on here, I sit on the SNAP subcommittee and the steering committee, with AMC, and both of them, we've had a couple, 3 meetings already, for the first part of the year. Basically trying to identify, long-term strategies, and it's a little hard to draw consensus right now. These are gonna be long-term committees. And between the long-term care, the Medicaid and the SNAP, and then, so I sit on SNAP and the steering committee, it's a little hard to connect all the dots right now, cause you don't know what's happening in the other 2 areas. But, so you're basically gathering information, ideas through multiple representatives between, Department of Children, Youth and Families and, Minnesota Department of, Health and, DHS, Health and Human Services, and AMC and MAXA, and so everybody's putting information in, and we're focusing it up to a broader package, and then, of course, you throw in, the events that are happening in the state government right now, and it's kinda hard to really, draw a clear consensus of where we're headed right now. But the information that we're gathering, I think, is good, and, the focus, and Tina sits on, in some of these meetings too, and, locally here, and just the ability, our focus has been to, develop a long-term plan for folks to, eventually, our goal is to get folks off these programs. I mean, and to lift the next generation, their children, so they don't need to go through the same struggles. We don't wanna create perpetual programs where there's no hope. It's a flatline system, and we're just pass it down the line. So that's the conversation. It's well-received by, and supported, by DCYF, Children, Youth and Families, and DHS. So, of course, then we have the L word that plays into that, and that's the legislature and the executive branch. And that complicates things.
They're
I mean,
getting along great.
so trying to get direction there. But what we're trying to do is create that target from the bottom level up. So at least there's consensus between the county government who needs to deliver and MAXA. So the services can be delivered, in the right framework, if you will, or right mindset. And we'll navigate through the legislation as we get it, and hopefully we can influence and change some of that legislation too. So that's kind of been the gist of that. Then obviously this week, Sunday when I was in church, I got some text messages to check my county email, cause we had some changes. Nuts and bolts through AMC was canceled this week. Just with, apparently, the hotel we were gonna use had
Oh, boy.
ice staying at it, and the concern was, we have no idea what we're gonna get. And not that we're concerned about ice, but there's a lack of control of who's protesting what at what day and what time and where at. So right now, that was the decision that had to be made on that. So they're looking to reschedule that. We are gonna go, through, Thursday. We are scheduled to meet with the governor on Thursday, and have an exec board meeting prior to that. And then followed on Friday morning with a AMC full board meeting. So I will keep you posted on how all that plays out, but.
Have you thought about just buying a place in the cities? So you don't have to drive back and forth?
It's getting to be an easy drive. I hate to say it, but there's just a lot going on, a whole lot, and talk with Scott Van Binsbergen and Don Gilman, representatives from Meeker quite a bit, and there's just, there's just a lot of things happening, and a very sincere lack of direction from the state leadership is the only way I know how to put it. Other than that, it's been quieter. I did have a Grove City Care budget meeting. And we've got some shortfalls there that, we've got a strategy. I'm supposed to hop on a Zoom this afternoon, to talk with DHS. Cause if we change some things in the budget, depending on if they're funded through a DHS grant or not, means that you might, it's a 2-year grant and we might have to alter that grant. And before we make any changes, we wanna make sure we know what we're getting ourselves into with DHS. So we will have a Zoom this afternoon on that to touch base on that. And so I might give blood this afternoon
There you
too.
go.
Why not?
What a
They
guy.
need, they are short blood, so
What a guy.
an opportunity to give blood at the Blood Mobile. There's one in Eden Valley today, so. That's
Thank
it.
you, thank you. Darren?
Had EDA meeting just recently, and that was just basically
Yeah.
budget focused, wasn't it? It was not, it was pretty quick, there wasn't a whole lot
Yeah,
of.
re-electing officers, when was that?
Yeah, that's true, the officers got reelected for the most part, and, then, yeah, it was just really, like I said, budget focused, and things are looking pretty good with that, there's nothing that,
Yeah, there was nothing, no real big topics or,
you know.
new developments as far as projects or anything going on as of yet.
Yeah, and then CCT was last Friday with Beth, and that was a very interesting, it's just kind of figuring out the lay of the land, because you could kind of tell that this was kind of there'd been some changes and sorting some things out with that. Was real positive, although I did get put on the building committee. Thank you, Beth.
You're welcome.
But, I'm so familiar with the
You'll be fine.
the realty world of Wilmer, so you know what, I'm just gonna rely on the people who know way more than me.
Don't
Be
forget to
there
have an
when we do.
opinion. It's important for
Well,
our
yeah.
representation on these
for sure.
committees, so.
But,
Is that all?
yeah, I think that was all I had.
I had a Pioneer Land Library Finance meeting, and good news there. The budget was, the 2025 budget, was done at 90%. They've spent, yep. And then their revenue was at 97%. The 2026 budget is increased by just 1.3%. So they're pretty fiscally responsible over there, and
Good.
yeah, yep, so all that looks good. We will need a new executive director as Lori Ortega is retiring. So we've hired David Drown and Associates, I believe, I hope I'm saying that correctly. And they have put together a profile for executive director, and so they will be searching for a candidate, so. All of the negotiations are complete for the library, heads of library, and that went very well, so. Then we had the regular board meeting as well, and just, kind of business as usual, so. That's all I have.
Okay, so I had a few things, let's see here, I had a Woodland Board meeting, which we don't talk a lot about. They just had election of officers, and
Chair there now.
Greg Snow is the chair, and Ben stepped down, so. And Judy Halterstrom serves on there as a community, and she's the secretary, so. I also I've been working on some reviews for our CHS director as well as Supporting Hands, Nurse Partnership Director. So we'll be getting those done soon, I hope. It's been a real hassle trying to get people together this year for some reason. Have you had that? It's just been really strange, so I don't know, people are just busy or what. We had the Joint Powers Board meeting for CCT. We went over our audit presentation from CLA. There wasn't a lot of big issues, but there were a few. We're working on bylaws, which is involving, we're gonna have to go over the Joint Powers Agreement first. So when that's done, it will come back to each board to approve. We'll use their attorney to get it all packaged, and then it will come back here for approval. We're doing an executive director search, and they have hired a firm, and I don't know if I wrote the name down, but they did. And I requested that when they get down to one or two candidates, that they meet with the full board, so we can meet with them ahead of time, and they all agreed to that. There's some, there was quite a discussion about salary increases, and one person, I said we have a step in place that we did last year, and we went back and forth, and so it's been turned over to the Personnel Committee, and they're gonna work with, the Executive Director to get it, and they'll come back with it. We talked about the fund balance, having 6 months, which we do. One mechanic has quit, so I think they're looking to fill that. They're looking to fill the office at Meeker County, that's not done yet. And like Darren said, they're gonna continue the bill, because we're on a time frame to get a new building if we have to. And we have to make some decisions, so the building committee is gonna start meeting again. I think that was about all. We reviewed our calendar events. We talked, October ridership was one of the busiest months they had. So it's been very, very busy with that overall. We talked about not going over the statistics so much at a meeting, but she's still gonna send them out, because I think they're important, so. Was there anything else I missed? I don't
No.
think so.
I'm gonna say Beth's kind of she's a
Be
force
careful.
on this committee.
I'm not really a
Well,
force.
you know, you've been on it a while.
I have.
And so, but I say that
Where does this go?
in a positive way, because she knows what's going
Andrew's
on.
laughing.
And so, anyway, that was nice to know that
Sometimes
Beth
I
is on
have,
Meeker
sometimes I
County's
have
side.
some help.
Thank
so-
you for representing us well,
Yeah,
Beth.
you're welcome. So, and then I'm on the committee for bylaws, so. And we have Minnesota Department of Transportation does the work. We don't have to pay for it. It's free, so that's a good thing, so. All right, so that was that. I had an exec board meeting at the hospital, and we again went over what we're gonna do with the PSA with Center Care as well as a management agreement. We talked about that. We've had one meeting for that, and it went very well. We set out our goals, and in fact, I think we have the PSA probably, there's some things you have to take out after a couple of years that aren't happening, and they were in agreement with most of it, and that's where we had the discussion on the clinics, which I hadn't heard about that, but it was mentioned that maybe we'll wanna keep at least one, so the governing board hasn't even talked about that, so it's just something that's out there. Then we had a discussion there about bonuses for employees, so there's more to come on that. And Tyler, the CFO, is, and I'm sure you're aware of this, Andrew, he's meeting with Heather to do some separation of some money. Heather still has to have the oversight on it, and she can do that, but we're trying to get our funding into a right place for like we did when we go into building, so we can get as much interest as we can on the money going forward before we start paying the bills, so we have that. I had a good meeting with for the CHS exec board, and there was 2 subjects, so I hope I brought my information. So we had some money left over out of the big public health grant. It was unspent, because sometimes Kaiser has gotten other grants that cover, so we had a total of almost $98,000 left. And there was a lot of discussion about what was gonna happen to that money. So what was recommended to the exec board is that we, consistent with what we've done in prior years with money, we have a percentage split that we use. So Meeker gets 30.32%, McLeod gets 48.58%, and Sibley gets 20.10. So that's gonna be split that way, so that will mean, I don't know, 30% of 90, almost 98,000, it's some money. Plus, there's another, I believe it's, let me see if I have it written down here. Almost 60,000 or something that's gonna just be divided 4 ways, instead of using the percentage, because in fairness, some counties have done more on their own than other counties have the ability to do. So I was you know, that meeting went very well, and I think everybody was, did you hear anything about it, Andrew?
I have not heard anything.
Yeah, so, but they're gonna wait till June to distribute the money, because the word on the street the day before was they were cutting off SNAP again, and then 2 days later, they're not cutting off SNAP again, so it's, you know, the indecisiveness that's going on affects everybody. Did you
Well,
hear
and-
anything about
well,
that?
No, I was gonna mention that earlier, and one of the others, I don't remember which other commissioner brought it up, but we need to keep in mind that January 30th is the end of that extension that we had, although SNAP is not affected by that, so
Right.
the farm bill and some things like that, but SNAP is not part of that equation this time around. That was fully funded out to the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
But there will be a little bit of pushing and shoving coming again here shortly, I'm assuming, so.
So they've made a decision, and I agree, not to distribute the money till June, when all this hopefully is settled down, so we know, you know, that we won't have to fill in somewhere or anything, so. I think that's,
Beth, I have a couple questions, if I may.
you go ahead, Paul.
I sent you a couple of articles from the Wilmer paper. One was on their AIS. If you could maybe look into that and see just exactly what their plan is, I'm curious.
Sure.
Because they're talking about disbanding their AIS program, the way it's sounded.
Okay. I haven't read the article yet, but I'll take a look at it.
Then the second article was talking about their 0.5% sales tax that they're considering.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe I didn't listen when you described that. I didn't realize that had to go to the Minnesota State Legislature for approval.
For a sales tax that relates to basically anything other than transportation, it does.
Okay,
A sales tax for transportation does not,
Okay.
which is what we are discussing.
okay, that clears that up, good. Then, you may all get a call from one of my constituents, Larry Newhouse.
I got the
You
call
did call me.
yesterday.
I did too.
Yeah.
He made perfect sense to me.
Very nice guy.
Very
I mean,
nice.
He was
Yes.
just, you know, he said, I don't know if I'm gonna be at the meeting. I wanted to share my thoughts with you, but if you guys have already gotten a call, that's,
No, I had a good conversation.
yeah, okay. And then, Andrew, at my Lions meeting, Robert Honke came up to me and he said, I really need somebody to speak at our Memorial Day program. And I said, you know, I got just the fellow that you should ask. Ooh.
I was voluntold. It's gonna come
And
see me
say,
at the
"No, that's
Darwin
a
Memorial
paid
Day program."
holiday for you, that doesn't
Yes.
hardly seem.
On the
Voluntold.
ball if they're already lining up Memorial Day.
They start early. They asked me last year and I should have thought of you last year and I didn't.
Well, I'm happy to do it this year.
That's nice.
Then the last thing is, we gotta make sure that Prime West, if Matt's coming, he doesn't go to the old building. That he knows he's gotta come here.
Yeah.
That was all but the AIS thing, I'm really curious what they're going to do.
Yeah, I'll take a look at the article and then I can reach out to Kelsey, their administrator, as well, to
Thank
find
you.
out what their plan is.
Paul, did you send me a copy of that?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you send me a copy of that, or
Yeah,
did you?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
All right, anybody else, anything else? Everyone? If not, I'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you.
You.
Andrew, do you want